Welcome to Toe and Tell. I'm with Daniel Sahlberg, the CEO of the Victorian Caravan Industry Association of Victoria. Now, this is an exciting time of year because they are just about to launch the Victorian Supershow. It's being held at the Melbourne Showgrounds from the 19th to the 23rd of February. But first, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to see more of this type of content in your feed. Now, Daniel, as somebody who goes to the Super Show every year, I can say it really is a massive event. But can you talk a little bit about the importance of the Super Show to the RV industry and, of course, the wider caravanning public?
Yeah, correct. And I think the Super Show, as you said, it is the biggest of its kind, and officially is because of how big in space. Victoria is the heartland of the caravan industry, so to speak, with 93% of all manufacturers manufacturing all the new products here. And us being at the start of the year and the first industry show of the year, the first major show now, because we've swapped with South Australia to make it a good flow. We have the brand new product releases from all the manufacturers out there. But as we're also doing, we're adding a few features, and we've also added a few key elements for the consumer to entice them to come.
Now, you have over 230 exhibitors this year. I mean, what's that like to organise? I mean, the effort and the planning that must go on behind the scenes would be immense. So, we're talking about, lots of staff, outside contractors that you have to organise, and that's year in, year out. It must be a busy time.
I think it's an element of, knowledge and education. Our staff are very highly skilled, and they're very motivated and passionate about the industry and what they do. We have a few staff. I wouldn't say lots because, sometimes you think you've got all these heads and all that sort of stuff, particularly as an industry association, but we have the right people and the systems and processes, and we've been doing it for 72 years now. We started the first Caravan show in 1954, which sounds just a couple of years ago when you guys did our Capturing Our Journey project about this and some time ago, and we're working on a history wall, which they might see at the show, so there's some teasers for the audience. But we've been doing it for a long time, and we've got the support of our manufacturers who are in our backyard here in Victoria. So the team works very closely. As a member-based organisation, we start to talk with them regularly, daily, hourly, before and after. That's why we stay up all night working through lots of challenges of the industry. So we're very well connected with the industry to drive new innovations, new products and new features for them. It's a really close-knit community family, the industry and what it's about. So really our team and their passion ties to the enthusiasm of the industry. We do it together and we drive some great initiatives.
You touched on something that I really appreciate about the Australian caravan and RV industry, and that is just how tight-knit it is. And I mean, yes, they're all competitors. They all want to make money at the end of the day, but at the end of a show or a social occasion, they're more than happy to come together and have a beer.
And they are, and we've really focused that on the last couple of years as I've become CEO in networking with the industry and getting back together, our members' events and the support of our members to create this family environment, this connection environment, because they all, and in a way we all do this in business and life. We've all got our challenges that we work through in our day-to-day, but it's always good to know that you've got an ally or someone beside you. Yes, it is a competitive nature, and it has been competitive for a long time, but the industry now, and through our collaboration and our activities and programs such as RV Master Manufacturers, about grouping manufacturers to drive the industry forward, they're now seeing the benefit of working together, and that's a big thing for me. Coming from the industry, I used to sit back in the day at Windsor Caravans and off air we're talking about the history and knowing you for a long time, and James and the team here, and you guys do such a fantastic job for such a long time. But I used to sit at Windsor Caravans and I'd go to a caravan show and I'd see this brand new window or this fancy splashback and I'd go, where did this come from? But when you've got allies and friends that you can reach and go, hey, I saw this in your van, I've seen this on a GoRV post or the magazines and stuff that you guys do. Where'd you get that from? And you work together. Yeah, and then you can get group buys.
And that's the sort of collaboration that I don't think is common to all industries.
No, it's not. And I think, and I always talk about the industry is very much like the consumer. We'd all love to be the consumer traveling around and seeing the wonderful sights, but it's the passion, it's the enthusiasm, it's the joy, it's the happiness. And that passion really resonates for me with our industry, and inside the industry, they are so passionate about what they do. They're enthusiastic about what they do. And sometimes that challenges us, but that's because of the passion. And that's what we love. And it's really about, the passion for the industry and a passion about the products.
So if you're going to the Super Show, one of the stands that you have to check out is going to be Crusader Caravans. It's going to be one of the biggest stands at the Super Show, no doubt. I'm with Michael Valentino. He is from Crusader dealership, Crusader Caravans, Melbourne. Michael, what's happening with Crusader at the Super Show?
Yeah, no. So it's going to be our biggest show for ever since I've been involved with the company. So our dealership's been open for like 13, 14 years. I lose track. And we're going all out this year. So we recognise the people are just gravitating towards the new construction method for the MY25 vans, the styling of them, all those sort of bits and pieces. But we've got arcade machines for the kids. We've got a whole new dressing and styling that makes you actually, captures you into what it's like to actually go out in one of these vans whilst you're at the show. So just trying to bring all of that lifestyle, exploration, and just family fun and, everything we love at Crusader.
Late last year, Crusader unveiled their 2025 range. It looked pretty special. We're going to see more of that, no doubt, at the show. What can you tell us about the 2025 Crusader range?
So the 2025 Crusader range, you've just nailed it. It was amazing for the 2025 launch, and the gravitation that our customers have had towards it. I've never upgraded someone from a 2024 to a 2025, and it's given people a reason to step into a new van. And it's really transformed, I think, what people can accept in a caravan with, as far as like hybrid cooking or the body shapes, the aesthetics on the outside. We've got, the Mad Max, the full off-road, tackle the world vans. We've got the Life Changer range, which is a charity sort of funded organization that Crusader got aligned with early on in the piece. And it's really just pushed to the forefront now that it's a 19-foot six van or a 17-foot single axle van. And the value for money for a fully composite Australian-made product, we're going to caravan shows and we just can't keep these things on the floor. They're just moving so quickly. The take-up on them has just been outstanding. But everything from the 2025 range is driving that. So
you mentioned the composite construction, and I happen to know that, a few years ago, Crusader invested heavily in making sure that all their vans, the entire range, was no longer the traditional stick and tin setup. These are first-class composite construction. And I don't mind saying that Crusader probably does it as well, if not better, than pretty much anyone else in Australia. Do you think that that is part of the secret behind Crusader's success over the last few years? Because the company has done very, very well.
I think that it's really fundamentally the only reason. The composite construction within caravans, you jump on any caravan forum, it's water this, it's water that, I've got leaks, I've got problems, and that constant deterioration of product. The right composite built the right way, with the right sequence, with the right people, with the right engineering, is just an out of this world application. And a lot of manufacturers we're seeing, because obviously we're affiliate with the supplier of the composites, we invested heavily, so owner occupied, and the take up of it that we're seeing through the industry is massive as well. Slowly but surely people are attempting it, but it took my old man 52 Sundays of a year to figure out, how do you actually stick it together? If you stick it together, how do you run wires? How do you do this? What's that next step? And slowly but surely it'll make its way. But Crusader is certainly running the flag at the front for sure.
And did I see that you brought a little sample?
Yeah, I've hidden him away. I'm more than happy to pop him out. Absolutely, yeah. So this is an older version, MY24, if you will, composite. And it's so you obviously got fiberglass skin on the outside, fiberglass skin on the other side. We have our peel pop rivets. People are always asking how you sticking these things to the caravan. You screwing them. These guys are screwing them. Crusader use a peel pop rivet just as a small version of one of their applications. They have many arrays, and it's gone to a 30mm sidewall and a 40mm on the roof, 40mm on the floor. So it's a fully insulated, frameless composite construction. It's just out of this world.
Still using that XPS foam? Because that's
Absolutely.
A structural foam.
100%.
I'm not sure if people understand that. That's a structural foam that's also got those excellent, insulation benefits.
Yeah, the insulation on this thing is actually out of this world. We've sent it away for many a test for various reasons. And this is just, by comparison to anyone who's stepped out of their bed onto a cold floor, 12mm marine, or even the honeycomb stuff that's sort of coming through a little bit in the industry, will know straight away what I'm talking about. That cold rush straight onto the foot. There's none of that.
Question without notice.
Yes.
What makes the Super Show successful for Crusader? How do you quantify a successful show?
I think looking at it from the perspective of we're here to sell caravans is one way to look at it. A lot of people would attempt to, X amount of numbers. As far as success for Crusader, or success for me as a dealer principal at Crusader Melbourne, is I want smiles. I want people who are buying the right caravan, getting the right product. And we have to deal with these people, love these people at the dealership when they come in to do their colours and their planning and making sure it's curated for them. Success for us is people leaving our environment that we've created just wrapped, that they've really picked the right product for themselves.
Do you have a favourite
caravan?
Crusader?
Ooh, yeah. We actually won't have it at the show, unfortunately, but it is my fave just because it's a bit quirky. Is the Gladiator Familia? Yeah, love it.
I'm glad that you mentioned, because those little single axle vans for Crusader, they're different. I like the Hurricane. You guys still making the Hurricane?
Going hard on the Hurricane.
Yeah, because that was the top end in the
top end.
Yeah,
full off road. So the range really opened up in the MY25 range. So the best thing about the CRVs, or the little guys, is that they're just so compact and so light. So I know my vehicles. People come in 3.5, 2.5, 3 ton. I know it straight off the top of the head. And the new vans, the smaller vans, I've got Kia Sportages rocking. I just don't know. So it's a new world for us. We're loving it.
There's a lot of benefit to one of those little vans, and I've said it to other people before that when I'm finally in the market, I'm going to have to look at one of those little CRVs because they're light, they're nimble, plenty of storage, all the gear. I actually also like the fact that, I know some people won't love it, but you have to, reconfigure the sort of the beds at the front or, in order to sit. It's like a combined seating bedding area, as I recall.
Yeah.
Which to me is not a deal breaker. I think it's just a smart use of the space.
Just depends. So Gladiator, Gladiator Force, Gladiator Storm, it just varies. So there's so many opportunities of space and seating. Some come with seats, some don't. It really works for you. It's flexible.
Okay, I'm being given the wound up, Michael. It's going to be a fantastic show, no doubt. How many models on display?
We are jamming in, but still keeping the vibe at around 21 vans. So I've got heaps to see.
21 vans at the Crusader Caravan stand at this year's Super Show. Don't miss it, because not a word of a lie, these Crusaders really are worth checking out. You'd be mad to go to the Super Show this year and not check out the Goldstream stand, because they have been doing some fantastic work with composite fiberglass construction. This is all very new for Goldstream and all very exciting. I'm with Mitch from Goldstream. What's going on, Mitch? It's called the CPX range.
G'day, Max. This is our new range. We're doing it in both a pop top and a caravan, as you can probably have a look at. It's our new fiberglass wall with honeycomb floor in a whole new model range.
There's all sorts of benefits, of course, to opting for composite fiberglass construction. Why was it that Goldstream went that way?
Well, with most of our range these days, trying to keep weight down is a big thing for sure. And everyone that comes into the yard here and talks about vans, it's always about weight with cars. And people are pretty aware of it these days. So just the composite became a natural choice.
The composite panels, they're tough, they're strong, they're hail resistant, excellent thermal properties as well. That's one thing that I think people forget when it comes to composite fiberglass construction. Now, I also noticed you've got a special coating on the outside of the Caravan. What do we call that?
We have. This is the new Teflon range, which has got a black coating that goes around the body and up the external moulds. Once you get out and give it a bit of a demo and see how good it really is.
And we have this here. It's a special sample. This is an aluminium can coated with this Teflon material, and you can't crush it.
Correct, yeah.
And just to give you an idea of how tough this Teflon stuff is, let's give it a crack. We'll stand on the can. Mitch, that's not buckling at all.
You're doing well, Max.
And it's bouncing back into shape. It
does.
Yeah.
It returns back into its shape.
And you can touch it up again if you need to, can't you?
For sure, yeah.
And we'll stand it on that edge.
Aluminium can, Coke can that's coated in the Teflon.
Jeez, strong.
So all the stone damage that can happen to vans is just going to bounce off it.
And you've also got some ambassadors.
We have. We've got the Explore Oz with Jess and Alan. They're doing a fair bit of YouTube and fairly active on YouTube. They're picking up their new van in a couple of days and ready to explore Oz.
And they're going to be at the Super Show on the stand to talk about why they went with the Goldstream.
Well, they've got an existing Goldstream, about a 20-year-old one, so it's a bit of an update for them with what they've already got. But yes, they'll be on stand on Friday and Saturday, so come on down and have a chat with them.
And any show specials?
Every show, Max, there's always a show special.
So when it comes to the composite construction, any particular challenges that you had to overcome?
With the composite, basically being all brand new production-wise, we had lots of changes to make it. This has been 18 months in the making before our first one was sort of really produced. The biggest challenge, changing the way our furniture is made. Everything has to be made furniture freestanding before walls are stood up compared to the traditional ways of standing walls up and screwing furniture into it. So furniture was a big thing to get our heads around. Now there's a few coming through production. It is becoming easier.
Now, I don't mind admitting I've always been a big fan of this particular brand. I've owned a Goldstream in the past, and it's definitely a brand that I would look at buying again. And for me personally, I think it's fantastic that you've gone this route with the composite fiberglass construction. I think this is a fantastic move for Goldstream, but they still look like a Goldstream.
They do. We've still retained our traditional sort of a shape. We've, smartened it up with a little bit of the laser cutting in the edge mouldings and things like that. Just giving it a total fresh look.
And as far as features and appliances go, I mean, are we still looking at your lithiums, your solar?
Definitely. Nothing's changed. That's in that part of the package. The CPX is basically a package that can be put on to any model, whether it's a pop top or a Caravan from any size from 15 to 23 foot. So basically the package is the composite wall, your honeycomb floor, your Teflon coating, all the new edge moulds, the new furniture construction. So it's available on any model.
So guys, if you're interested in strong, good quality caravans that are tested by the Goldstream staff, you've got to check out their stand. I mean, this is really exciting stuff. Look, while I gather the focus for you guys at the moment is your CPX range, not everyone's going to want that.
Quite correct, Max. At the Super Show, we'll have on our 2050 bunk unit, which is still made the traditional way. It's one of our new layouts, front island bed with some bunks in the back. It's in our Desert Platinum range, so it's got a lot of features on it at a pretty show special price.
So if you are interested in checking out some good quality caravans, I highly recommend checking out the Goldstream stand because they just know how to build a caravan. They do it well, they test them themselves, and it shows in the final product. Now, you really don't need another reason to visit this year's Victorian Super Show, but I'm going to give you one anyway. Jayco has just released its brand new 2025 range, and I'm here sitting with Scott from Jayco. We're inside one of their new silver lines. I mean, this club lounge on the slide out is fantastic. Scott, tell us a little bit about what people can expect when they come to your stand for the 2025 range.
Yeah, Max, we've spent a huge amount of time and effort to come up with the perfect range for 2025. We've started with our value range, which is a Starcraft range, to offer more for less. Then we've moved into the Discovery range, and then finally the Silverline here. The Silverline is our premium flagship model, and there's so many new features in this that we can talk about.
So what are some of the highlights?
So with the Silverline, we wanted to focus on, one, comfort, starting with the club lounge. Then if you move over to the bed, we've got the new Temper mattress, which is top of the line. It's so comfortable, you get the best night's sleep, but also features. We wanted to make sure, things like storage. We've got new drawer runners. We've put drawers everywhere we can. And also function, the new dual hinge fridge from Dometic. And there's a few key things like that we really wanted to elevate.
And I happen to know that one of the really key features is the internal walls.
Yeah, it is. So one of the big features for 2025, with our composite construction this year, we've gone to fiberglass both inside and out. And there's so many benefits to that. One is it's a more durable product. It's harder wearing. You can wipe it down if you spill something or knock something onto it. But also it's just a much better product.
Now, in order to actually deliver that product, the fiberglass on the inside walls, is there any sort of challenges that you had to overcome? Any additional tooling or anything?
Yeah, there's always challenges. Every time you try something new, there's always challenges. But fortunately with us, our key partners and suppliers, they're so good with, with the working relationship that we've got. we tell them, we sell the dream, and then they tell us how it's possible. And the good thing is they generally come through.
And are these changes that we've been speaking about going to be rolled out across the entire Jayco range, or mostly just your flagship products?
Mainly the more premium style products. So what we wanted to make sure, say with the Starcraft range, we have to offer value. We've got Caravan starting from about $56,000 and Pop starting from about $46,000. So we just need to keep the value in that particular product. But when you move to something like a Discovery or a Silverline, that's when we can add some features.
Now, I happen to know, Scott, that this 2025 Silverline has been eagerly anticipated for quite some time, actually, by the caravanning public. How do you think they're going to react to it at the show?
Yeah, the reaction so far has actually been really positive. It's overwhelming because it's one of those things, you put yourself out there and you do get the feedback whether you like it or not. And with the Silverline feedback, it's been so good. We're really, really happy, but it hasn't been a fluke. We've listened to the customers. We've got feedback. Suppliers, the trends from around the world. Our dealers tell us what customers are asking for, and we put it all together. We made a big working list, and this is the end result.
And this is the 50th anniversary year for Australia's largest RV manufacturer, isn't it? So talk to me a little bit about the evolution of Jayco from that very early JDove 1975 right through to now.
Yeah, it's interesting. You go back 50 years. I mean, we're a proud Australian manufacturer. We always have been. And what we started with was a camper trailer. Then we moved into pop tops. Then we moved into caravans. Then there was park cabins, but then motorhomes. So if you look at the spread of the range, what we did, we're able to create that customer for life. So they'd move throughout the range, and that's something we're very proud of. And even now we've got different products for different markets, like base stations and toy haulers for people with motorbikes. So we're catering for many, many different markets.
And what's next for you?
Probably a hard one. We're still getting through 2025, but we have got plans for 2026 already. So there's bigger and better things to come.
And no doubt the 2025 range is going to have all those features that people have come to expect from Jayco.
Yeah, it definitely does, but also more. This year we wanted to make sure, we weren't only focusing on value, but also features, because there's so many things that people expect. It's a home away from home. So even now, like things like Starlink ready, so you can plug in a Starlink Mini, dual hinge fridges, but also, I mentioned earlier drawers, like simple things. They need to be functional, and, people want to take a lot away with them because they're traveling for longer periods of time and they've got specific needs. So we need to cater for all of that.
So there you go. Some very good reasons to check out the Jayco stand at this year's Victorian Supershow. They are, after all, Australia's #1 RV manufacturer for very good reason. Lots of positive changes here in the 2025 range. And, I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
The people who are watching this, they might never have been to the Super Show before, and they might struggle to sort of visualize the scale of it. I mean, it's huge. So let's put it in terms of some numbers. We're talking tens of millions of dollars worth of products on display, and hopefully millions of dollars worth of sales.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing. We did this some fact finding a few years ago to benchmark this. So at the Melbourne Showgrounds, we're the second largest events to the Royal Melbourne Show. So the Royal Melbourne Show takes up the whole precinct. We pretty much take up the whole thing as well. We're over 120,000 square meters of space that we take up at the showgrounds. Exhibition space is over for caravan and RVs and the products and the accessories and everything is 60,000 square meters. That doesn't include the food. That doesn't include the feature areas. That doesn't include the entertainment and all that other aspects in the walkways. So we take up a very large scale, and when you put it in perspective of the Royal Melbourne Show taking up the whole venue, we're the whole lot. But obviously we've got all the products and services there as well. So it is large in what we do. And for someone that's getting into it, sometimes they might see it as overwhelming, but we see it as a teaser. They might go, gee, it's a lot to see and do, and they plan for a couple of hours. And that's okay. They can come back to the next one, or they can come to our next show. It's really about showcasing the industry and all it's about. And obviously, we've got now feature areas that we've brought in for different target audience and different targeted things. But it's really showcasing the whole of industry. And if you've got a product, they come to the show. And it's just to say, I bought my van, and I'm just coming to have a look.
Kick a few tires.
And when they walk out, I say to them, what van did you buy? Oh, yeah, I got a new one. I saw all these new features. Because you've got the upgrades that are happening every year. But then it's the parts and accessories, because we've got all our supply chain and all the retail products as well. And that you can see the new gadgets that, you buy your van, but then you need the mats, or you're going to look to get an annex, or you're going to look to get the plates, and it's the collateral. It's all on display.
Look, I personally find it very tempting. I go to the show every year and I see an e-bike or I see a scooter and I think, oh, my son would love that.
Yep, and that's exactly right. The e-bikes are huge now, and we've in the past we've had demonstrations where you can ride one and tease it. It's really, and what it is, it's the way of life, and that's what we're trying to bring in, and some things we're going to introduce this year. But it's really showcasing the connection with caravans, and I think, and this ties it obviously into a bigger discussion, Max, about some things, but I went away down to Warrnambool over the break, and one of my best mates, he bought a new caravan, and he's been camping down there with his family for 30 years, but he took his family in his new caravan for the first time. But it wasn't about the caravan. It was. Yeah. But it's about the connection. It's the family. It's the memories. And he's sending me pictures of the silos, and then he went to the weir, and then he went to the parks, and it's what caravanning allows you to do. It's the connection. It allows you to be there. And I was talking to my wife about this, and I said, so he can be in Warrnambool, and then the next weekend he could be in Port Arlington, then he can go to Bendigo, and then he can go to Gippsland, and then he can go and do the East Coast and see the amazing sites that we have in our country that we learnt, particularly through COVID. And you can do it any time, and you can go to a caravan park, you can free camp, you can do all these things, and it's affordable. And then my wife goes, 5-star and accommodation, I want to go over here and over there. And then my mate's wife said to my wife, but I get to sleep in my own bed every night. And my wife went, oh, it's my product. It's my thing.
That's right. That's right. I think that is potentially an underrated aspect of
100%.
Buying your own caravan. It's yours. You can customize it to your needs. It's not like staying in a hotel room which has a air conditioner that comes on at 2 a.m. and lumpy pillows and a bed that's not quite right.
Or the pillows that are too soft and hurt your neck. I get them all the time. But that's exactly right. That's what the industry's about. So, that's what, in essence, we're trying to show people. Caravanners, yes, but it's also all the other people that should be doing caravan and camping.
Now, I think it's fair to say that, your association, you've always looked for ways to make the show more relevant and interesting to the public. And I know that's a topic that is particularly dear to you.
Yep.
You have a new attraction at the show this year. You call it the Let's Start Caravan and Camping feature. So tell us a little bit about that.
And I obviously just teased a bit of it there. Yeah. It's really about that connection. So it's an introduction to people. So people that may not know about caravan camping, that people that have heard it or seen it and see all these things on the road, and we're talking off air about the trucks, and you see them on the freeway and they're driving along and they're holding up the queues, and those caravanners, what are they doing? This is about showcasing what it's about, and it's about that connection. So we will have all the range of products in the sector, because you might start at a swag, or you might start now at a rooftop tent, which are so popular now, and because it used to be the tents. But now it's the rooftop tents.
My son has just bought himself a 99 Hilux. He's about to turn 18. The first thing he says, Dad, you work in the caravan industry. Do you reckon you can get us a rooftop tent?
Exactly. That's exactly right, mate. And then they get the awnings that they fold out the side, and then they get the portable fridges and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's that first step, right? Yep. And then, as I've come to learn, I did caravan and camping with my grandparents. And I learnt it, and we went boating and fishing and skiing and all the attractions, and I was riding the bikes and going to the parks and going in the pools and going in the river or up in the Murray and all that sort of stuff. And it's those things you get to do. So this is about educating people and showcasing our industry as a whole. It's showcasing the lifestyle you can lead. So we'll have all the products on there. But then people tend to get fearful. Oh, they're big, they're heavy. It's the cost, it's the storage, it's the weights, it's all these things. We will break down those barriers to help them. We've got a training college that can help teach people, which will come into this aspect. But we're going to start to educate people to break down those barriers, but then showcase them the life that they could have with their families and create those memories.
Now, there's a new product being launched at this year's Supershow that promises to revolutionise the way we manage RV sanitation in our caravans. It's called the Indus Wastewater Management System, and I'm joined by Ryan from Thetford. Ryan, this is an exciting product. Look, I would say that arguably we were well overdue for a revolution in this field. What can you tell us about the Indus Wastewater System?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Max. It's a very exciting time at Thetford and with Avan as well. We're bringing something to the Australian market that no one in the country has ever seen before. It's been used over in Europe for a few years, but I think it's about time Australia got on board. So this is a new sanitation system that is convenient, hygienic, and just makes the whole discharging of your cassette a lot simpler. So this system basically uses your black tank, grey water tank, and freshwater tank, and you don't have to worry about dosing of the chemicals. And when it comes time to emptying it, it's all automatic.
Now, as I understand it, you can position the toilet anywhere in the caravan that you want to. It doesn't have to be on an outside wall as per tradition, with the cassette toilet. How does that work? Is that because you've got a separate black water tank?
Yeah, correct. So you don't have to have it on the outside wall. You could technically have it in the middle of your living room if you really wanted to. This toilet is designed that it comes with a separate black tank that can be at the end of the caravan and your toilet's at the front. So it's designed to give the manufacturer and the end user complete design of how their caravan ends up looking like.
And how does the grey water tank work in conjunction with the Indus wastewater system?
Yeah, so traditionally you've always had to have a fresh tank in your caravan to flush your toilet, where now Indus uses your grey water, so your shower, your basin, all that leftover water that's normally waste, that actually uses it now to flush your toilet. So instead of getting only a couple of days off grid, you're getting up to 5 to 7 days now.
And, you're also saving your fresh water, aren't you, in your caravan? And fresh water is a very important commodity when you're out in the bush.
Correct, yeah. Fresh water is one of the things that run out first when you're off grid. So it can normally be your waste cassette or your fresh water that goes first, and that means you have to go back into town to refill. But now it's recycling your grey water. You're not having to use your fresh water to flush your toilet all the time.
Now, you mentioned earlier, Ryan, about the dosing of the chemicals. How does that work? Do we have like a separate dosing sort of modules so that, people don't have to remember to do it themselves? Is it automatic?
Yeah, so fully automatic. So there's a separate dosing unit which uses 3 chemicals throughout the whole process. Those 3 chemicals will last up to about 4 weeks. And the system's smart, so it'll actually identify how often you're using the toilet, how much grey water you're using, and it will automatically adjust the chemical dosage based on your usage.
How do we go with odours in the van? I mean, that is one of the issues, I guess, with a cassette toilet. You almost can't escape it. Does the Indus system address that in any way?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, with a cassette toilet, it's a lot of the time quite open, where in the system, it's fully sealed and built into the chassis. So it's actually under your floor, which helps seal the toilet off firstly. This is also a additive toilet, so the additives mask the smell as well.
So one thing I'm thinking, Ryan, is that if I'm, out in the bush, I might not be able to get to a suitable discharge point for the waste, but I might want to stay out there a little bit longer, another 5 days even. Do you guys provide a separate wastewater tank or black water tank?
Yeah, we do. So historically, Indus, you get about 5 to 7 days from needing to empty. But if you do want to stay off for that extra few days, we have a spare holding tank which you can pump the system into, which gives you a few more days of sitting by the river enjoying yourself.
So when's this system available? I gather Avan has already taken it up. Are we going to start seeing it roll out to other manufacturers soon, do you think?
Yeah, so we've been working with Avan for the last couple of years. We've finally got one in the market, which will be launching at the Melbourne Supershow next week. And then hopefully with that rollout, we'll see other manufacturers get on board. But Avan will be the first manufacturer in all of Australia to have this system on board.
Ryan, what sort of toilet is it?
Yeah, so for Indus, we started to go away from the traditional cassette toilet and went with a macerator toilet. A macerator toilet makes things a lot easier when it comes to emptying through a discharge hose.
You spoke about the discharge hose. Paint a picture for me. Am I connecting this hose to the side of the caravan? Am I connecting it to the toilet itself?
Yeah, so the discharge hose is put into a little service door on the side of your caravan, which allows you to pull up straight to a dump site, unravel, push play, and it does the whole job for you.
Okay, so Ryan, everything these days has some sort of, Bluetooth or app functionality. What about the Indus system, and why might I want to use an app?
Yeah, ours definitely does come with a smart app. So this app basically will tell you how long you have off grid. So it'll basically analyze your usage and go, based on your current usage, your water supplies, you have another 5 days. When that starts getting to 1 to 2 days, it'll actually tell you where your closest discharge station is, which then allows you to plan your trip to go, oh, okay, I'm going through this town. There's a couple of discharge locations. Let's stop on the way so we can keep going.
It's the 21st century, Ryan. Apps, we use them for everything, apparently even now for our RV toilets. And, mate, I'm absolutely here for it if it means a better experience for Australian caravanners. Nice and clean, it's hygienic. End of the day, why wouldn't you go for something like that over and above the more antiquated and arguably less hygienic cassette toilet? What's your stand at the Super Show?
Yeah, so we'll be at the Grand Pavilion site 421. So come down, ask any questions. We're happy to take you down to Avan and give you a tour of our new system.
Well, all the best with this product launch at the Super Show. I think it's going to go really well for you. I'll come down and I'll check it out for myself. All the best. We'll see you soon.
Beautiful. Thanks, Max.
Cheers. So you're heading to the Super Show because you're in the market for a serious off-road caravan. Well, that's the case. You're going to want to go and check out Masterpiece. I know I'm a bit biased. I've seen these vans in action and they are as tough as they look. Now, I am joined by Bobby from Masterpiece. Bobby, what's happening at the show for Masterpiece? What's new for 2025?
Well, it's an amazing year, 2025, for Masterpiece Caravans. It's actually our 10-year anniversary. So we're super proud to have entered the off-road market 10 years ago, and here we are 10 years later with a lot fiercer competition, but I think we're now become a well-established brand, well-respected amongst our peers, our competitors, and also amongst the caravan buyers.
Any particular sort of favourite off-road caravan that you really want to show off to the show goers?
So we've got our model range, the three vans, the Optimum, the Performance, and the XTM. The Optimum is the crown jewel of the fleet, so we can't wait to get the new 2025 range out, and we do have one surprise, and we hope that the Director's Edition will be a showstopper come showtime.
Okay, well, you can't leave us hanging, Bobby. What is happening with the Director's Edition? What sets it apart?
Well, the Director's Edition is a little bit of the owner, Ramon Raffaello. So 10 years of his company, Masterpiece Caravans, which he likes to call our company because it's a reflection of the staff, the team, and everyone that's involved. So it's a reflection of all the hard work, all the years making these great vans and putting them out on the road, all the new technology that we've introduced, technology from suppliers. So it's a bit of a reflection of the business and him as an individual. And we've decided to call it the Director's Edition as a bit of a celebration for the 10-year anniversary.
Now, some people might not know this about Masterpiece, but you guys really do put your money where your mouth is and take these things out into the bush and really give them a good test, a real torture test. What about that Director's Edition? Are we going to see that in the bush anytime soon for some testing?
Well, we hope to do give it a bit of a hiding once we come out of the Melbourne show. So it's been a lot of research and development, a couple of new components. So we'll get it to the show first. And then we'll go from there with the testing track videos. Has it been out and about? Yes, it has. But we'll get the testing track done after that.
And no doubt that Director's Edition is going to have some pretty special equipment on it. Tell us about the 12-volt system.
So we've been using Victron for, this is probably year 5 now. So way back when no one knew what Victron was and no one was using the system, we were probably piloting and using it in the beginning. We've developed our own batteries as well, along with the team from Arizon. So we at the forefront of the technology side of things, and now we just keep evolving. We've got the battery management system behind the door, behind the nifty door there as well, that's got fans to extract the heat. It's all mounted behind the fridge. So we keep evolving and keep trying to put all the technology at the forefront in all our vans.
And are you keeping the focus still on being as timber-free as you can possibly be with your vans?
Correct. So this year we're also introducing lifetime rot-free on our frames. So the Fiberplast frame's been going for 4 years now. We haven't had any issues with it in terms of water ingress and what can happen if you do get water ingress. So we're fairly confident that the rot-free component of it is down pat. We don't have to worry about it. So it's a lifetime rot-free frame to celebrate the 10-year anniversary.
Is that sort of like an additive to the Fiberplast material?
No, it's not an additive. It's always been there. It's always been rot-free, but letting it, using it for the last 3 or 4 years, getting the feedback from the customers, feedback from ourselves, working with the product, we are now absolutely confident to promote it as rot-free. A lot of people will just throw out words out there of rot-free and 10-year, 20-year structural warranties, etc. But we like to just bide our time, do it correctly, because there's always implications to these things. So we've got it right, we do the right thing, and here we are with a lifetime rot-free frame.
So if you're going to the Super Show, there is one manufacturer that you've absolutely got to check out. It's Masterpiece Caravans. They're always doing some innovative things. They are at the forefront when it comes to innovation, and we have seen that time and time again from this manufacturer. Bobby, best of luck with the show. I'm sure it's going to go well for you, and I'll see you there.
Thanks, Max. Look forward to seeing you on site 420 at the Super Show.
Before we started recording, we were talking about this little feature area, and you mentioned one or two challenges that you faced along the way.
You know, the joys of running an event, and you know, you talk about the team, and my team are first class, and the things you have to work through, because as we know, and being in Victoria, you know, there's lots of talk about the nanny state and the regulation and COVID. We had the longest lockdown in the world, all that sort of stuff. So the challenges we face around safety. And we want to put on some good things. And, you know, this area, we wanted to teach people what caravan and camping is about. So we wanted to have a pool, and I would say a massive pool, and we wanted to have fishing. We wanted to have a jet ski in there. We wanted to put a boat, and we wanted to have a stand-up paddleboard. We wanted to have a canoe or a kayak, because that's what you do with our product. So we want this big pool, and they said, you can have this much water. And I said, really? We go, yeah, and then we said, well, we want to have, because we've got fire pits, because people take the fire pits now, and then when you go fishing, you get the fish and you cook them on the fire pit. And we said, well, what's iconic? We want to do marshmallows. Yep. And they go, yeah, well, you need to rope it off. You need 5 extinguishers are there, and they need to be trained, and it's, you know, handling of food and all this. We said, come on, right? All we want to do is showcase the industry of the product. So there are challenges, but we'll do things. And, you know, we said, all right, can we have a thing with a fence around the pool? And they had this really long net, and they could get out a rubber duck, and they could win a prize. And they go, yeah, you can do that. It's like, okay, we'll do that. But we'll grow it into the lifestyle aspect.
But I do admire your philosophy of go big or go home.
Exactly.
You've also got the kids zone. You've got the adventure zone, where people can watch four-wheel drives and caravans being put through their paces on an off-road track. And this is actually one of my personal favourites. Whenever I go to the show, I always check that out. It's a custom-built track. Yep. And I've often wondered, actually, how you do this. It doesn't seem to me like it'd be an easy task to literally create an off-road track smack bang in the middle of the Melbourne Showgrounds.
Yeah, it's a really good point, Max. There's a feature areas that we're trying to create and particular purposes. So the Let's Start Caravan and Camping is focused on introducing people to caravan and camping. They might not have done it, they want to do it, or they don't know, so come and see it. Our RV Master Stage, which is our educational stage, so people that are in it, and teaching them the right way, the wrong way. They might have just got into the caravan industry and learning things, so we'll teach them how to do it properly, but also some new hints and tips. And something that I probably just remembered, we had our off-grid campground last year, which is about off-grid. That's now gravitating into our Let's Start Caravan and Camping. So it's grown bigger. That's what we've done. So it'll be in there. So talking about off-grid camping and free camping. Yeah, the kids zone, which is always an attraction about the kids. And we're starting to look at spacing this around the show to give the parents a rest so that they can let the kids have a little bit of a break. There's colouring competitions this year in different aspects. And there's rides and entertainments. There's a big rock climbing wall, and there's some ropes and stuff like that they get to play with. And then there's also some basketball hoops that we've got, and the fun and stuff that kids like to do. But the adventure zone, yes, mate, it's a big logistical thing, and particularly at the Melbourne Showgrounds, where we're on the sand and the dirt, right? That is for the equestrian. Okay. And it is like, what's the word I'm trying to find here? It is like the key thing and the key ground, and we look at it and go, it's just sand. Yeah. And couldn't we just drive on it? And they go, no. You got to put boards down, or you got to put a tarp down, and the tarp can't break because it can't go into this sand because it's special sand.
Special sand for the horses.
Special sand for the horses, and we love the horses, right? Because that ties into our industry too. But it's the matting, it's the flooring, and then what we actually do, we ship in. I'd hate to guess how many trucks because it's phenomenal, and we've got four forklifts and bobcats. That's the word I'm looking for to shuffle around. But there's containers. That's the secret to this. We get the containers and then we put props in the containers for when the cars and the vans go over. Because what we're trying to showcase to people is how do you drive to the conditions, and how do you drive off grid, on grid if you get bogged. What do you do? How to weights and towing, and how do you tow to conditions, and but on road, off road, semi off road as the sayings are. So that adventure zone is the showcase piece about towing to different conditions and giving people the confidence to do it.
Now, we're just going to cross over to Blake from Concept Caravans. After all, Concept is one of the biggest manufacturers in the country. They're always doing some interesting things, and they're going to have a big presence at the Super Show.
Thanks, Max. We're super excited to have Concept and Newlands caravans at the Melbourne Caravan and Camping Super Show at the Melbourne Showgrounds, thanks to Sundowner RV. We're sitting here today in the beautiful new Concept Ascot 680. This is the first opportunity for customers in Victoria to check out the new Ascot 680. A couple of key things that we've done for this year's range. We haven't reinvented the wheel in terms of the layout and the sizing and everything, because we have the dimensions right. What we've done is we've created a brand new framework, which is a polyurethane framework as opposed to timber, a full timber-free frame. The benefits of this product are that it's 40% lighter than traditional Moranti. Not only is it lighter, it has the similar properties in terms of it allows you to screw, staple, and most importantly, bolt. All of our Concept caravans have a full bolted framework, regardless of whether it's the polyurethane or the timber framework that we use. We've also now upgraded all of our Concept range to have 200 amps of lithium as standard at a minimum, and our off-road product, of course, has more. So the new model, as you can see, absolutely stunning new tapware, new handles. It's very exciting. We've also got a couple of great show bonuses that we're offering. So I'm told between Sundown RV and Concept, we'll be offering a free gas heater on this caravan valued at $3,000. So a fantastic upgrade. This caravan is built for long-term touring. You can see by the layout, the space, the sizing, and this beautiful lounge. So make sure you come out and see the Concept Newlands caravan stands 630 and 631. Ask Ben for a show deal. Back to you, Max. Thanks for all the good work you do at GoRV. Look forward to catching up at the show.
Good on you, Blake. Thanks very much. That sounds awesome. We'll see you there.
On our website, and I'm going to do it while we're on air here, Max, because we've got that many people, I can't remember, right? Because we've got influencers, so key people that people idolise now. So we've got some new 4x4 people that are coming along. So if we go through it and we go through, let's have a look at the Adventure Zone, right? And we have a look on our website. So you go to the What's On, and you can see, Macca is one of the people, the first one that comes, the best reasons to make your travel your lifestyle. Getting ready for the road. So we've got total towing setups, and there's a guy, Gary Gardner, ex-Heyman Reese. He's coming to teach people how to tow to conditions. So this is on the 4x4 track. Now, Tyler Thompson, I had no idea who this guy was, right? But our team and my team, and the younger generation, even though I don't call myself too old, but they go, this guy he's got this 4-wheel drive, and he's got the rooftop tent, and he's got a little camper trailer in the back sometimes, and sometimes a caravan, but he's a legend, right? He's this icon. So he's got over 100,000 people on Instagram, and he's got like millions of people that follow his YouTube clips and all that sort of stuff. So he's a celebrity, I would call him back in my day, but he's an influencer. Yes. And then we've got people like Snowy River and Jayco's and all that doing demonstrations as well. So they'll rotate throughout the day and stuff like that. So that's one bit with the Adventure Zone. So we talked about before RV Master Stage. So this is where that education. So we've got, and it ties into our RV Master Manufacturers program, because we've got these guys talking about things. So we've reached out to them. So MDC are going to talk about going off-road and off-grid, what you need. So it can educate people. Towing tips for beginners with Get About. We've got the Feel Good family, and this is a bit of a connection to me.
I know the Feel Good family.
Which is very odd, right? So my wife caught up with an old school friend who she travelled with, and my wife's a violin teacher and a violinist, and they did music together. And she does cruises, or used to do cruises. And we found out her now husband is the godparents for one of the kids from the Feel Good family. Yeah. And he started going, this people, and I'm the godparent, and they're into this industry. They got this TV show now, they're doing all these things. I said, who are they? And he goes, the Feel Good family. I said, I saw them last week, and I talked to them. He goes, what? Yeah. So I'm in the caravan industry. So they're coming to the show. So we reached out to them. They're going to talk about their experience about beyond the bitumen, off-road and essentials that you need to going off-grid from a consumer perspective. So there's lots going on there. BM Pro are going to talk about lithium batteries and the safety aspects about that, because obviously forefront. The forefront of power, so Jayco are doing that as well. Thetford are going to talk about some new products they've got. And I was talking to Daniel Dunn, who sits on our board, and he's now Australasia General Manager, I think is his title, but he's working across. So Thetford have got some great new products that I saw last year in Dusseldorf that they're bringing to the show and into the Australian market, and in some of the products on display as well. So they're going to be talking about that. Award RV are going to be talking about camping essentials. So Matt Durden, he's tinkered his presentation from 101 benefits. pilots to now talking about start here and go anywhere. Ties into our slogan.
Mm-hmm.
So he's talking. So plenty of stuff there. There's another one that's close to you guys too that's going to be talking. Nova Caravan's going to talk about some stuff. So
And I wanted to bring this up. I know what you're referring to because this gets back to the topic of educating the caravanning public. So, last year we had the collapse of Tango Caravans, didn't we? And as many of our viewers would know, a lot of customers of Tango Caravans were left high and dry.
Yep.
They paid deposits. In some cases, they had paid the full amount of the caravan under what appear to be false pretenses. And when we highlighted the case of Sylvia Logan, who was one of the victims of this situation, Nova Caravan stepped up in a really big way, and they built her and her family this brand new Nova Reviver caravan. And I'm told it's actually going to be on display at the show, and Sylvia herself might even be up on stage to
that's
answer a
exactly
few
right.
questions.
That's exactly
I
right.
fundamentally really applaud this because I don't know if this is fair or not, but the caravan industry historically has a little bit of a reputation for being a little bit closed off to criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
and when something didn't go right, it was a matter of sweeping it under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm being I don't think I'm talking out of school.
No, definitely.
So on a personal level, I appreciate the fact that it's being embraced.
Yep. And I think that's the key bit, and it ties to obviously RV master manufacturers and a number of other things. But you are right. I think as an industry that is unregulated a lot, has some regulations that exist but probably isn't enforced. We've got ADRs and Australian standards, and but who's regulating those and who's enforcing those? And there's road rules and gas and electric and plumbing, and let's talk about plumbing for what it is, right? So unless you're a plumber in the state that does the work, you get checked, right? Because you've got to have a license, and they come out and check your work and make sure you're doing the right stuff. What about all the work that's done in another state? What about all the work that's done overseas? And that's the thing that we're lobbying for. But this is the thing that the industry in the background has been lobbying for too. So as an industry, and the key players and the bigger ones are going, let's do these things and do these things right. And to the point about Sylvia and Nova, and this is, Rob, David, Louise, and John rang me and said, we want to put this on display, but we know that it could be very controversial for us as an association, that you're doing this for this, and what about them? And I said to them, but this is what the industry is about, and this is the inside of the industry. So we're embracing it, as you said, and the challenges of the past, to take it on and go, yes, we are changing as a collective. When there has been unregulated, the industry is stepping up, and we actually applaud the consumers that have been driving this in the past, because to the Tango situation, I spoke to you guys about this, and particularly probably what sets us apart. To come to our shows, you need to be a member of our association. And what that means is you've got to be in business for 12 months. And then you've got to go through your supply documentation, including financial viability from an accountant. And we do some checks and balances. And then if they're a caravan and RV manufacturer, they've got to do a product audit, and they've got to make sure all their product meets the compliance requirements. And then what we do is then we go out and see them and validate the systems and processes that apply to us. And then our board decides. So then you have an industry roundtable going, oh, we know this guy, and we know this and this and this. And then they make a decision whether to include them or not. So the process takes on average about 18 months. So that's what sets us apart, because we are about doing the right thing by the consumer and by the industry. And that's the regulation or the standards that we set in place. And that's driven by the industry, because that's what they've demanded. Now, you can go to other shows and other activities, but, you look at one of the big things 6-7 years ago, factory direct, and you buy from a manufacturer. Right? On the service, you might think it's great, but what about the warranty? What about the repairs? What about all the aspects? Because they are a manufacturer. And then what about the facilities and the engagement and the activities and everything else you need to do after it's manufactured? We have a rule that they have to nominate a dealer, and the dealer meets a definition we've created, because there's no license to sell.
So this really seems like a good time to touch on the RV Masters program, which is a big feature of the Super Show. And again, I know RV Masters is near and dear to you.
Yeah,
it is something that you've really driven, and it's an idea that you've had in the back of your mind for quite some time. What's the philosophy behind the program, and why is there a need for it? And why might showgoers actually want to visit the stands of these RV Masters?
What you've talked about today, Max, and you talked about probably the perception of the industry. We talked about the armchair experts. I've been dealing with those people for a long time. Being in the industry for 20 years, and I created an accreditation program. over a decade ago, and I started to see the challenges we face. And then in dealing with the regulators, the lack of regulation and the lack of standard across the industry. But then I deal with the key players of industry, and they're wanting... In 2017, we created a members summit, which was to get the industry together and say, what are your issues? And then create solutions. And they said, we want a standard for manufacturers, because everyone has this perception, and I call it the Chinese whispers, right? Because, you know, oh, my reflector needs to be at this height. And then by the time it goes to the next point, it's this height, and then it's down here. And then it changes because there isn't a clear standard. So we took that away, and then we went away and said, all right, let's look at this from the consumer. What are the key things for them? And we broke it into 5 pillars around quality and warranty, customer service, compliance ties into that. And then we started to dive into business systems and how they operate. And I'm not going to talk about financial yet with what we just talked about, because it actually came out in another way by the industry, and the consumer needs to know that. But there's 9 areas in it. There's HR as well, and do your safety audits in your business and make sure they're doing the right things. Because if you're not doing aspects of business right, because there's compliance of the product, but are they paying super? Are they paying their taxes? Because they'll be out of business if they're not doing that stuff. And so what we did, 2019, our president, Nat Chappello, we got the top probably 25 manufacturers at the time, and they still mostly are, in the room and said, all right, this is what we're proposing. And in unison, and I've got this picture on my phone, and I always refer back to it, and it's part of our promotion, and you guys did some great stuff in the collateral development for this. You just see in unison, they all put their hand up because they want a standard for the manufacturing sector. Because yes, there's imports that we talk about, but then there's also a lot of local manufacturers that are jumping off the back of what they were, and they might have worked there, and they take the Chinese whisper and then they turn into another Chinese whisper. So what we wanted to do was create a standard for the manufacturing sector. So that was the philosophy. But in that unison moment, one of our very clever members, which was George from Lotus, he said, we've got to measure financial viability.
But he's right.
He is, yeah. Right? And he goes, and they've got to be in business for 7 years. And all the room just went, yep, they do. Right? You've got to be in business for 7 years because we've invested, we've done all these things, we've got all these system processes, we've got all this equipment, we've got all this stuff, and you've got to do the right things. And we said, okay, 7 years is a long time. And then, our membership, 1 year, okay. But setting a standard, and then the financial viability we explored, and we spoke to an auditing company around financial viability, and we did some fact checking of some key businesses in the industry, and we said, we've got to do this. And it ties into the Tango situation. And we've been building this for a while, and the Tango thing was just before the launch. And I remember talking to you at the launch about this. But yeah, it's really focused to drive the industry forward. And it probably solves those problems of the past. And fortunately for us, and what we'll see at the Supershow, when we launched it, we had 13 businesses signed up. We have a lot more now getting behind this. And there's some that want to be a part of this that we've said, you've got to do your time and you need to meet the requirement.
Because they see the value in being able to present themselves to the public as a credible manufacturer that really just won't leave them high and dry. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is.
The customer service, the warranty processes that they have to have. We've developed contracts and agreements that then they work with their dealers on that we can enforce in this program. Now, we can't make them do with the customer, but it's about giving the customer the confidence of what you do and how you do it and who you're dealing with, because they're the right ones. And we talked about the Tango situation and our membership rules. It's just giving the consumer confidence where it is, because it's whole of business, not just one aspect, is the big play to this. And that's, the industry gravitating together to drive a standard. So we started with 13, and I think we've now got about 25, 26 brands. And the best thing is at the Supershow, we've got some new collateral and some new showcases. But exclusive here for you, Max. We will be running 2 parades at the show, and we're going to have the RV Masters driving around the show. So from down on the Adventure Zone all the way up, all around the show.
In their little golf buggies?
With their cars and with their caravans. Okay. Showcasing who they are.
Great.
So we're going to continue to make sure the consumer are aware of who the RV Masters are on top of the collateral, because we want them to go and talk to these people about what it's about. Now, as a show organizer, what about the rest is probably the comment, right? And that's where our membership rules and our membership structure. So you're still getting the confidence, but this is about us driving the industry forward. And it might upset some people, and some people come to me about this and said, oh, this and that. And I said, this is about improving the industry.
Now, it wouldn't be a super show, though, without the Passport to Freedom competition.
Yes.
What's going on
I'm
there?
glad you reminded that, because I asked my event manager this morning on the way here, and I said, what are some of the things you'll talk about with the show and describe? And she goes, the Passport to Freedom. Because there's so many other things, and there's a couple of other notes I just brought them back up to talk about. But she goes, the Passport to Freedom competition. I said, oh, yeah, but there is. Because we've made some changes to it this year. That's the key bit. So if you buy a ticket, and you tick the little box to say I want to be marketing, right? You actually get a free entry into the competition without even going around the show. Right. So then if you go around the show and you go through, it's 7, I think, checkpoints, you go around the show and get all the checkpoints, you get 10 entries. So before, you had to go around the show, do all the checkpoints for the possibility of winning.
So just by buying a ticket, you get 1 free entry?
Yep.
Oh, great.
Right.
And what do they stand to win?
Well, you can win a Caravan, so I think that would be all right.
I wouldn't mind winning
that
one
would
of
be
those.
all right. Like, we're talking about how good caravanning is, and it's a brand new Jayco, and obviously Jayco have been key supporters of our association for a long time, and it is their 50th anniversary.
And they've
this year.
just launched a new lineup for 2025.
That's exactly right, and you'll see it at Supershow. Right? So you're going to see all this stuff by Jayco. So the support of the Jayco team, and they are, there's a reason why they are who they are, and dealing with them, and nothing is too hard, everything's easy. And they've given us a brand new Jayco, one of their new hybrid range, which is it's now bigger than the past. And I don't want to give away all the secrets, right? Because you've got to see it and see what they've done. And we used it as a part of our filming for our new TV ads, because we've got a brand new campaign as well. But it's a phenomenal off-grid hybrid type product that you can obviously still go on road and everywhere else, but it's a brand new product that they're releasing, a bigger feature product in that range, and it's really exciting. So I think it's about $56,000 worth of value. So someone will win that Caravan by coming to the show, and then there's all these other great prizes that we get some great people donating, the camping gears and the e-bikes and things like that sometimes are in that competition.
Now, we live in a world where we're used to buying online.
Yep.
I do it, you do it, I don't even think twice. And that's often or always without seeing or touching the product. We see a picture of it online, but we expect it to turn up as advertised. But yet your show, which requires people to attend, you attract tens of thousands of people year in, year out. Why do you think that is? What makes the Super Show so popular?
I think the thing is, and talk about controversial, Max. We'll put it on the table, right?
Okay.
We get a lot of comments on social media going, "Oh, why do I have to pay? I don't have to pay to go to a supermarket, right?" And that's great, but the problem is supermarkets for the caravan industry don't exist. The supermarket, well, you're talking 180 manufacturers. As you said, there's 230 exhibitors. I think we've got about 110 manufacturers or 113 manufacturers on display. To put that all in one place is not easy. We've got some dealerships that have 3 or 4 models, or three or four manufacturers, sorry. But you've got everything in the one place. You've got the parts, the accessories. And one thing that we probably haven't touched on is the tourism. And our tourism area, or a destination pavilion, as we call it, you've got places all around the country to go. So you're actually seeing everything all in one place, all at one time. But then it's the educational aspect, but it's the entertainment value. You get a day out with the family and you can experience it. And we've done some stuff to entice people to come. But it's all in one place, all at one time. And it's in your backyard. It allows you to go and travel. We all love a day out and to see it. And yes, we might buy online, and we find things that we want to buy online. But to make that purchase online, you have to have the confidence, and you have to have the awareness. And buying caravans online is a big purchase for people, and it should be. It's a big asset, because you don't buy a house online. Now, you might buy off the plan, but you still got to see it or understand it. So you got to do the communication, and probably what I think our industry with our events is going back to from what it was. Yes, people buy at the show, and that's what it's about, but it's that showcase piece. You can see it all in one place, all at one time, and you don't get to see this because you've got people coming in around the country. To do this, you got to travel around the country to go and see it all in one place. So the value proposition for somebody to come is immense. And yes, you get to touch it, feel it. But you mentioned it before, Max. the caravan industry, you can customize it to your own nature. And you can do it online, but you don't get that real feel. Like even we're sitting here and we're touching the table.
But you can compare as well.
Exactly.
You can go to the show with a pretty good idea of what you want. It might be a caravan with a front bedroom, rear bathroom, and everything else in between. You want about 2,500 kilos. But I can go and look at 5, 6, 10, 15 caravans that match that description. I can find the best price. I can negotiate from one manufacturer to the next.
Correct.
They might throw in a portable fridge to seal the deal, which is a lot harder if you're going from dealerships.
Correct. Yard to yard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's exactly right, because the industry is telling us that the consumer is far more educated. And in some ways, we talked about before, probably more educated than them at points, because they're doing so much research, and they are looking online, and your platform and what you guys are doing, and that network and community you're creating about information they can find through, and the questions they can ask each other. It's faster than what it gets back to the industry, but they do their research, they come to the shows, and they probably narrowed it down to 2 or 3. But then they come to the show, and there's 2 or 3, or 3 or 4, or 5 or 6, or 7 or 8 that they haven't heard of, haven't seen, or there's a brand new thing that hasn't got online. So it's that opportunity of brand new products, brand new features, and particularly the Super Show, because it's the first show of the year with brand new 2025 models. And we're talking off air about the amount of brands that are advertising brand new products. The Jaycos, the Lotuses, the New Age, the JB, the Masterpieces, the Avitas, Millards. You guys are filling me up in Millard right now. They got their brand new products. And the Gold Streams. You just keep going. They've all got brand new 2025 products that are going to be at the show, and it's exciting for a consumer, because you're right. The industry, from what it was in the peaks of COVID, has come back from the heights of the order banks and the 2 years orders, and you can get them a lot closer. But the innovation. This is the thing that I'm really excited about for our industry. The value proposition for a consumer to get deals, to get new features, because it's coming back, it's more affordable. They're all looking at how they make it entice consumers. So there's a deal to be had at the show, that's for sure.
No, absolutely. Look, as I said, you're the CEO of the Victorian Caravan Industry Association. It ultimately falls on you to make sure that this show doesn't go sideways and that it's a success. So what keeps you up at night?
I don't sleep, Max, and everyone does say that to me, and particularly my young girls help me, because sometimes I don't sleep at night. I've got 2 young kids, but they're awesome. But yeah, it's a lot to think about, and it's a lot to process, and I think that's what sets us apart. We are the manufacturing state. We are focused on industry and breaking those barriers and fixing those issues. And I've always, the manufacturers are at the start of probably the chain, because, you go manufacturers, then they go to the dealers, retailers, and then it gets to the service and repair. So they drive us a lot. We are a multifaceted business. We don't just run events, because our events put back into the industry. So, and I'm restructuring the business right now, and we've gone through some changes ourselves, but we've got our events area, which run the events, because we also run industry events. So Hall of Fame, big one. So we give out Manufacturer of the Year and Dealer of the Year. And what's probably close to my heart is recognise people that have created this industry for you and I to fall into. And I think we give away a media award that you might have won in the past.
Yes, do you have? Because
you're a great person.
Thank you.
But it's one of those things that we recognise people to showcase them. So that's our Hall of Fame and that we do. And there's a rigorous process around the auditing and assessment of that. But then we've got our Trade Expo for the industry as well. So that's a B2B industry event. Where we could try to get new suppliers and innovate the industry, and we've got some member functions as well. So that then leads into our membership. So we've got a membership, and we've got 250 members of who's who in the zoo and the caravan industry. But that's about working with them on a day-to-day basis to solve their issues and solutions, but provide the services, and whether it be sales contracts and agreements to collateral or research around and information about rules and regulations. But that also ties in industry development. So we're looking at an industry ombudsman, which would probably entice and excite the consumer. We're in the initial stages of creating a consumer advocate or an industry ombudsman that the industry is supporting to help get off the ground for the consumer. So we're doing that. So that's one of the issues, along with others in industry development that we lead. And then we've got our accreditation program and RV Masters, which is a certification program, I probably call it. That sits under our membership department. So the membership area has now been beefed up to deliver services. And then we've got a training. So we've got the National Caravan Industry Training College to teach people to do the right stuff. It'll grow into consumer training. We're going to release a towing course this year in partnerships with people. And then there'll be how-tos and teaching people how to use the products properly that will come in. So there's that training element, but it's also training the industry to get certified and accredited. There's no license, but we'll create some career pathways and certification steps within the industry as well. So it's a registered training organisation. So through ASQA, the federal regulator about training, we are an RTO. We tried some TAFEs and stuff like that, but we're a niche industry in the way we do it. So we created the RTO. And then probably the fourth key pillar to our business is the lifestyle and promotion, which is obviously ties into Let's Start and a number of other things.
Okay. Now, the Super Show, I mean, it's arguably the most important event on the calendar.
It is.
In the caravanning and motorhome camping space in Australia. What do you see as its future? Do you see it remaining at Melbourne Showgrounds?
I think, we're always continually assessing, and one thing that I've done particularly is you can't just sit still, and you've got to change. And it's a bit of my background with product development. I don't like to do the same thing over and over, but we've been at the showgrounds for 10 years. And is it right? Is it wrong? And we've had a lot of feedback from exhibitors and consumers. From consumers and exhibitors, it's hard to get to. It is a amazing space, and it's an amazing precinct because you put Flemington Racecourse next door, but that's the challenge because you've got two event precincts that have to work together, which are two different businesses, which makes it challenging. So we use Flemington for the car park, and we use the venue because we take up all the space at Melbourne Showgrounds. So you've got two businesses wanting their fair share. Whereas when we go to Sandown, it's one business and we get the parking. So there's challenges with that space. But you've got a precinct, and I would describe this because I'm a local, that you've got a major event precinct in a suburban street. And you've got single lanes, lots of traffic, and it's hard to get to. And you've got connection points, and they've told me that, the Racecourse Road, which is, if you're coming from the east, you go up the Racecourse Road, will go down to one lane, and there'll be trams that go run down the middle. So you won't be able to follow the trams down, and when they're not there, go down two lanes. The accessibility is a challenge.
Yeah.
And it's a spur line for trains, and with the airport, they were trying to get that line continuation to the airport, but that's not their plan. So it's a spur line. So for someone from the west, if I wanted to catch a train, so I grew up in Sunbury, but if I want to catch a train to go to Melbourne Showgrounds, I go past it, and I can almost wave to it. I go into the city, and then I got to get off and get on. It's at Southern Cross. I was going to say Spencer Street because that's where it is, but that's what it used to be called. Then you got to go out, but they don't run them all the time. So it's a spur line. So there's challenges with the venue. So we've been assessing it, but we're also listening to the consumer, and COVID changed people's travel philosophy. And driving through the city is not fun, and going across town and the tolls is not fun either. So we're looking to set up a ring around Melbourne in different areas, and we're assessing that because the other thing when you've got a major event precinct like the showgrounds is the cost and what's the affordability nature for the consumer and for our exhibitors. So, but I won't deny that the Melbourne Showgrounds is a fantastic venue.
The infrastructure is fantastic.
Yeah, the showcase it puts on and the light that it puts on our manufacturers and product suppliers and the retail products and everything you get, accessories, it looks phenomenal. But it's about the financial viability for consumer and industry that we continue to assess. And if we have to make a change, we have to make a change for the betterment of the industry to keep it going. No different to putting a hard line on standards and the like. So we're assessing it, and everyone thinks that this is the last year. It could be. We only did a 1 year deal, which is into February, which is in a couple of weeks.
Do you have a deadline that you're working towards?
It's interesting because last year I really wanted to force the conversation about a change. And we did. And our members summit, which is a key members event where we ask them about their issues and solutions. We put the table of the showgrounds on it. And the ones in the room all said, we love it and we want to stay there. We said, hang on a second. This is not what I'm getting. And it's because of the showpiece. And then we started talking to other sectors and other industries, and they're going, well, it's too expensive, it's too hard and all that. So we're assessing the model and how it works. And It might become a showcase show, and it might become a feature show. But we are looking to run more shows around the state in the areas that people are to make it easier for them at an affordability nature. But, and probably something we haven't talked about with the Super Show, we've made a big change this year. And it's an investment back into the consumer and an investment back into the industry and the exhibitors, because we've cut the price by 30%. Now, it's a big call because we went from $30, and you could say that we should be going up because the cost of everything is. And major events now, $35, $40 is normal. But then you got the parking as well. So we did some analysis. The family day out was hard. So we've cut it back to $20. $20 this year for an adult. Kids are free, so under 16 are free. The parking we subsidise, and no one gets this, right? You go to the Royal Melbourne Show and you go to other things, it's $30. We did a deal and we locked it in at $25, but we pay $5, so it's $20. So we're actually subsidising this. And you get to see all these fantastic things in a fantastic place and all that sort of stuff at the one place. So, the prices have been cut for our show this year for the consumer. We know the cost of living. We know what's going on. So we're investing back. This is, we've done some hard yards over the time, and the members go, what are you doing? And what are you doing for the industry? Well, we're putting back. To that point, so it's $20 for adults, which for a day out now is really cool. But there's something else we've just done, which is only just getting out there.
Okay, do tell.
Yeah.
You can't
I
tease
can.
this.
No, I will.
Okay.
What we've done for members and exhibitors, we're giving them a code to offer 2 for 1. So if they buy a ticket, they can get another one for free. So if you work with the people attending or our members, they will have this code that allows you to get 2 for 1. So
great.
Not only is it $20, it's also 2 for 1 if you go and find it and you get the right
what's
things.
incredible, though, is that, the cost of living this day and age, it's unheard of for anything to go down in price.
It's a big investment by our board.
If anything, things go up.
They do, and they do, because trust me, I know, seeing the numbers, and probably we should say it, Max, right? So when we went into COVID and the cost of the shows, and use the Super Show, coming out of it, it went up $800,000. Now everyone goes, once we get through COVID, it's going to come down.
So the cost to run the show,
yeah,
$800,000,
$800,000
because of restrictions or supply chain problems, etc., etc.
Cost of products, we've got some great stuff behind us. Hey, look, there's a cool award. That's James. That's ours.
That's James.
But frames and materials and look how cool this wall is and collateral. The cost of everything increased, as we all know. We assessed that. So $800,000 it went up, but it hasn't stopped there. Now we know wages are going up, and trying to control inflation and things like that to pay for this stuff. But it has gone up. And Tess was telling me this morning, security wanted to go up by $30,000. So we went from security costs us $100,000, and they wanted to go, it's another 30, and we're going, hang on, just do the numbers, the percentage on that. But so what was probably 800 out of it's probably 1.4, 1.5 increase to run a show. So you're right. Things do go up, and to go down is a rarity. But this is our board, and led by Nat and our executive team, but all the key players on it too, going, we need to invest back into our industry and our members and the consumer to entice them to be a part of it in these challenging times. So we've focused on the cost of living this year. So $20 for an adult to come to a show.
And last year they were 30. Yep. But you can also get a code and get 2 for 1 for the cost of $20.
Yeah.
I mean, for a day out, that ain't bad.
And we talked about before what you can see and do at our show, and it is the biggest in the country, and it's got everything in the one place. And you can learn about what caravan and camping is if you didn't know, with the Let's Start Caravan and Camping feature area.
So before I let you go, are you aware of any product launches at the show that people? No. Just if you had to name one, is that
I can't do that, can I?
No,
it's like when everyone says to me, if you were to buy a caravan, what would you buy? I can't do that because I've got a lot of great members and a lot of great products. I always say it depends on the horses for courses and what you want to do. And people might have a perception that you want to go something small. And even, that's a funny story. An ex-president from when I played footy, which wasn't that long ago, guys. It wasn't that long ago, right? Wasn't that long ago. Ex-president reached out and goes, he wants to get into caravan and camping, and he's looking at this 15-foot hybrid. And I said, yeah. I go, what are you going to do with it? And it was actually a brilliant idea. So he's going to go, and he's going to go through SA, and go across to WA and see all the amazing sites that are in that bit. And he goes, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that in a couple of months, store it there in WA. I'm going to fly back, I'm going to do some work, and then the next period of holiday, whenever that may be, I'm going to fly back. Then I'm going to do the West Coast. I'm going to drive up to Darwin, and I'm going to stop it there, and then I can either pick, I can come down, or I can do the West Coast or East Coast, or he can back route if he wanted to. So he's going to do this stop-start. And I said, are you going to do that in a 15-foot hybrid? I said, it'll be great at the start, right? Because it's new, it'd be great. So what about long term? And he goes, I don't know.
Hadn't thought of that,
Right? So he goes, oh, which ones? And I said, well, just tell me what you want to do. And I said, all right, here's some names, and there's 5 or 6. Okay. So we went and had a look. And he goes, well, what about this one? What about this one?
Yeah.
I said, come to our show and you'll see everything in one place. So it's really, and you know, we've got checklists now, and in our show guide, there's some things about helping you make that decision. But I sort of touched on it before. Everybody is innovating, from Jayco, the biggest manufacturer and supplier of our prize, all the way down to the little guys who are creating 2025 products. But they are different. They are innovative. They are, you know, I talked to someone about this the other day. The old J molds of the past are disappearing. They've got extrusions now, and these great aluminium products on the side,
robotically welded edges,
right?
Seamless,
and composite materials and composite walls that people are so the industry's innovating, which is great. But you know, we rattled them off before, and there's many more. And I don't want to sound. It's just the ones that I've seen for now, because I'll go to the show and there'll be more. But the Jaycos, the Masterpieces, the New Ages, the JBs, the Crusaders, the Millards. I think I said Masterpiece. The Novas with their new products. You know, I'm in my head now. The Supreme Leaders. I spoke to those guys the other day. The Titaniums have got some new products. You know, Avan's got new products like Raw Flare. Well, Raw Flare's 50 as well. And talking with Billy, and he's releasing it next week when the podcast will be released. He's got his big launch, and they'll be at the show. And he said, "Can I borrow those covers you had from the RV Master launch?" Yeah, you can. There's going to be so many good things. You know, MDCs and the Snowy Rivers have come out with some new products and new ranges as well, the hybrids and pop tops and things like that. So, yeah, everyone's innovating, and seeing the advertisements and seeing 2025 releases at the show, I'm going, this is where our industry is, and this is what it's always been about, and it's so good to see it again.
Yeah, I get the enthusiasm for the innovation, because that's the thing about the caravan industry that appeals to me.
Yep.
I love it when you see a manufacturer come up with an elegant solution to a problem.
Correct.
And I just think we're seeing so much of it over the last 12 months.
Exactly. I think they've had the time after the hustle and bustle of COVID, where they were so busy producing products and trying to get people and trying to get parts was the biggest challenge. You know, the lead times on some of the parts were 8 to 9 months. So that's now been stabilized with obviously I guess you call it contraction, but the realization and coming back to reality. So they are able to hear the problems, see the problems in action, because that's what they're good at. They've always been good at this. And, you know, we love the government. They talk about solar well, sometimes, right? That was a bit of a pun, guys, right? But they're talking about this electrification, right? And sustainability and looking after the environment. Caravan industry's been doing that for 30, 40, 50 years. We've had the water tanks, we've had the battery packs, we've had the solar, but our industry's going to a whole nother level now. In taking those aspects and leading the charge. And, you know, Van Cruiser, there's another one, right? So I was talking to Tanya and Enzo recently, but at the Bendigo show that we run in November last year, they put a turbine on their Caravan. And everyone's going, what's that for? And he goes, oh, it's boat technology where it generates power and puts it back in. And he said, when the solar panels aren't working, or you're in shade, or you're under a tree, or it's overcast, how do you get your power? The turbine grabs it. So it actually interchanges. Like, it's phenomenal, like some of this creative ideas and thinking. And, you know, it's so good to see Enzo and Tanya and the Billies and the George Lotuses and these guys really innovating what made them at the start, because they can now. It's the consumers have got so much to see.
Speaking of Enzo, a number of years ago they came out with a caravan with an honest to God spa.
Yep.
Do you remember it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not sure. Do they actually still make it?
No, they don't. It's one of those things that you try it, and I think the weight and the water.
It'd be pretty hard to fill a spa with nice water in,
and then weights and towing. You know, it was a, and the best thing is they had a go, right? They had a crack, and they did sell some, right? And people probably thought, oh, this is going to be cool. But it's the opportunity is what it is. It's the opportunity to encompass many people and different things and people, what they do. Now, we might be sitting at a caravan park now, permanently connected, and they use it. And for me, and the reason I would look at it, I've got 2 young kids, and they have baths all the time, right? Yeah. So it actually is that opportunity to tie into markets like that too.
So the Victorian Caravan and Camping Super Show, it will be held at Melbourne Showgrounds, February 19 to 23. The gates open at 9:30 each day. They close at 5, except on the Sunday, the final day, and they close at 4.
4, that's right, 4 o'clock.
Yep. And Daniel, if people want to beat the queues, where can they go to get their tickets?
Yeah, tickets and information, probably the best way to put it, Max. And caravanshow.com.au is the website. And then you'll see, because it's got all our shows in there, you click the Super Show and it'll take you across. There's normally an icon up top where you can buy tickets. But I think, we talked about in the podcast all the information about the show, the presenters, what's on, when it is. We've also got an app, the Caravan Industry Victoria app, which gives you and helps you get around the show, and the passport to freedom is in that. That's exactly why I mentioned it.
Daniel Sahlberg, CEO of the Victorian Caravan Industry Association. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Max. Appreciate it.